Sky, aka Trigger Ranker. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? We in here about to do another little live. I'm trying to get my hours up, man. So, man, y'all pop up in here, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm trying to get my hours up, trying to get my monetization on, cause once the monetization drop, that's when it's really about to be on. So, yeah, I just wish that y'all would, support me. You ain't even gotta just watch the video. You can go to sleep and hit play on it, even if you don't want to even watch it, bro. But check it out, dog. We about to talk about this whole Diddy Ting line. This whole Diddy Ting retrend. We got a little couple of updates. We got some updates, probably like we got updates like 3 days ago, 2 days ago. We got one 6 days ago. Oh, we got one 4 hours ago. Wow. Let's look at this one first, y'all. Look at this one.
I just brought these big biscuits, fruits, vegetables, and all these groceries.
It wasn't just Jay-Z going on the offensive against the lawyer who helped.
This Law and Crime y'all listening to, y'all. Law and Crime. Y'all go check their channel out. That's where you can get this information from. Law and Crime. I'm just doing a reaction video to their video. So, boom.
Filed a sexual assault lawsuit against him, but now it is Sean Combs, the embattled rapper and producer who's currently sitting in federal lockup as he awaits criminal trial, has now actively sought to oppose attorney Tony Buzby's efforts to be admitted in New York as part of a separate lawsuit. New arguments and allegations are being leveled against Mr. Busby, and we're going to break it all down for you right now. Welcome to Sidebar.
Sidebar. That's the actual show. But it's looking like Diddy is trying to cat back at these lawyers, man. You trying to basically fight back. I ain't gonna lie, Diddy right now, Jay-Z is not in such a bad position. He got one charge against him. We don't know what's coming in the future, but Diddy looking like Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 59. He's running for his life. So yeah, y'all, let's listen what they got to say on Law and Crime. Sidebar.
Presented by Law and Crime, I'm Jesse Weber. And by the way, I know that we have a lot of sponsors on this show. Look, we appreciate you supporting them, supporting us. But I'll tell you what, we'd actually really like to know from all of you, our loyal Sidebar audience, the Sibinians, if you will. It's a terrible name. I got to workshop that. Anyway, we want to know, what do you all like? So we created a 5-question survey. You can tell us what kind of brands and products you use, which would just be super helpful to us to make sure we put the right companies in front of you guys. So as Sean Combs awaits trial on federal sex crimes charges with a trial scheduled in May, as you know, no secret, he has been hit with a multitude of lawsuits. And one of those lawsuits is from a woman named Candace McCrary. Now, Candace McCrary is actually somebody who initially filed a lawsuit.
I thought they were about to say Candace Owens, bro. That ain't funny, but yeah. What we smoking on? Strawberry Kush.
Against Sean Combs as an anonymous Jane Doe, but she was ordered by the court that she would have to refile her lawsuit with her real name if she wanted this to continue. She couldn't continue the case using a pseudonym.
So basically, they saying that what the girl did in the Jay-Z and P. Diddy case, how she was able to be anonymous as a Jane Doe, this lady's suing Puffy, but they're not letting her be anonymous. So she basically got to bring her name out there in the public. So yeah, all right, let's keep going.
The judge held that it wasn't fair to Sean Combs, that he had a right to know who the person filing a lawsuit and accusing him was. And that was for purposes of investigation, for purposes of challenging her credibility. But also, she highlighted, the judge, that the public has a right to openness in judicial proceedings. And that is what Candace McCrary did. she refiled this lawsuit under her own name. And by the way,
What's up?
that's significant because you might
Mr.
have
Black Man.
an accuser say, if I have to be public.
Hey, hold on. I gotta give respect to Mr. Black Man. He came in here, said, "What's up?" Happy Black History Month, but every day is happy Black History. Just saying, man, if you never famous, I'll always be your number one supporter. Never give up. Oh, okay. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, sir.
Identified with that.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Just to be honest with you, Mr. Black Man, I could have been famous a long time ago as far as like big famous, but that's not the route I wanted to go. I wanted to go a more organic route. I ain't trying to get off the subject. We talking about Diddy right now, but I just didn't want to get off of the, the grid as far as like when they sign an artist. And I'm sure y'all heard everything that goes on, 360 deals, things of that nature. All of this stuff that deals with fame and fortune, taxes, all this stuff, bro. People trying to get you on a couch and do stuff. So, I took that other door. I took the other route. But yeah, let's finish talking about this. I ain't mean to get off too bad. But shout out to Mr. Black Man though.
Sure, with that spotlight, I'm just going to abandon the case. So for this Jane Doe to go forward and now identify herself and say, I'm Candace McCrary, let me tell you what happened to me, that's significant. Now, what did she allege? Well, she alleged that in 2004, she was at a party when all of a sudden she was escorted away to a separate room by a security guard who simply allegedly said to her, you know what you're here for. He allegedly locked the door and
So basically, Diddy ain't even man enough to walk up to a woman in a party and talk to her and try to converse with her. Like, I know, I don't know how old everybody is in here, but back in the day when we was young, we would go to parties and sometimes things would happen. But it wasn't no, I'm sending somebody to tell this person to come back there, what's finna happen. Like, nah, that sounds like, that's past grooming.
Turner friend inside was Sean Combs. And according to her, Sean Combs allegedly forced McCrary's friend to perform oral sex on him, or else he would have them both killed. That's a threat that he allegedly made. And when it came to McCrary, here's what the complaint reads, quote, Combs soon turned his sights to Miss McCrary and forced her to take her clothes off, again under the threat of violence. Once she was undressed, Combs forced himself on her and began to sexually assault her. Combs fondled, molested, and ultimately raped Miss McCrary, all while she was begging him to stop. Soon, and likely due to Miss McCrary's cries, the door opened, and the security guard from earlier came in to ask if everything was all right. Miss McCrary's friend took the opportunity to rush out of the recently locked door. Miss McCrary, however, could not move, as Mr. Combs was still on top of her. Combs got off Miss McCrary to talk to the security guard. He left the room, but told Miss McCrary to stay, otherwise she would be killed. After about half an hour of sitting in the dark room by herself, another security guard came and told her that she could leave. Miss McCrary gathered her things and left immediately and called a taxi back to her dormitory in downtown.
So Diddy is a nasty individual. That's why I see why Kendrick Lamar said, let's watch the party die. Because at these parties, it was some egregious things going on. And I just feel like, people that take advantage of their power, their fame, their fortune, and things of that nature, I feel like it's a special place for them if they don't get right before they leave this terrestrial plane as soul beings. Like once you leave this body and you go into the soul realm, I feel like the things that you done in your lifetime basically will affect you when you transition from this body and become a soul.
Brooklyn. Just a harrowing account. Allegations, this is all it is right now. Allegations still has to be proved, but nonetheless, harrowing allegations. Gotta say something. So as this story and most of the stories that we cover on Sidebar show, the world can be something, to say the least, right? And it's scary thinking about how to protect yourself. And we always try to partner with companies that can maybe help you out in providing some security. Well, I'll tell you what, we have one for you right now. Our sponsor, Delete Me. Because did you know that your personal...
Hey, that should taste like some cotton candy, bro. Stream Minecraft. Hell no. Well, I might. Hey, hold on. I got the 5 right here. I got the PlayStation 5 right here. I got the 3 and the 4 in the back. But yeah, I don't know about Minecraft. I
Data
might
is being
stream Grand
harvested and
Theft
sold
Auto, but I
online by
gotta
data
play it
brokers. Yeah, anybody
on.
can buy your personal details, and when that
I can stream Grand Theft Auto, but I gotta play it on what it is with the radio off, cause you know that got copyrighted music on it. But yeah.
happens, you are at risk for a whole host of things: identity theft, phishing scams, potential stalking. But Delete Me helps keep your personal information private. I mean, they found dozens of data brokers that had my information. They joined deleteme.com, slept a lot here on Sidebar. The man who famously held a press conference months ago indicating that he was representing dozens of Sean Combs accusers, who, by the way, he has already filed a number of lawsuits on their behalves. The man who filed a lawsuit against Sean Combs and Jay-Z on behalf of a woman who claims the rappers raped her when she was 13 years old, only for that lawsuit to be voluntarily withdrawn by Tony Busby himself. Not entirely clear why it was withdrawn, but remember, there was a lot of apparent holes.
Hey, you must be. Hey, how old you here, bro?
This
How
was
old you
based
here,
on an
bro?
investigation conducted not only by...
Hold on, y'all. I got people watching me. Give me a second. Let me check this chat right quick. So try to make a circle of smoke. How old are you? Rare Tucker. I can't even say blues or some shit. Yeah. How old are you, bro? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have younger people in my chat. And if you older talking like that, something ain't right, my G.
Jay-Z's lawyers, but also NBC News.
Just in general, I'm happy for whoever is successful, whatever the case may be. But I think
But now Tony Busby wants to get involved in this Candace McCrary lawsuit, and more specifically, he is moved to be admitted to be the attorney for McCrary in New York on a pro hoc vice basis. Now, in other words, that is when you ask the court for permission to temporarily represent a client in a jurisdiction in which you're not licensed to practice. Now,
so basically, Tony Busby, hold on, Tony Busby is not licensed to practice in New York, and that's what might have happened with all these cases that he brought like 20 some cases up. But I guess a lot of these people did come from New York, so being that he wasn't able to practice, but they said that he asked for a special granting for him to be able to practice in New York. So, like, I ain't graduated from the bar or nothing like that, but I do, what I'm saying, I can listen to, what I'm saying, what these people saying and kind of like, translate it a little.
To be admitted, he writes, I'm in good standing of the bars of the state of Texas and New York, as well as the Eastern District of New York. So even though this particular...
So that's what he said, I'm in good standings.
...lawsuit was filed in the Southern District of New York, he explains he's in good standing in a neighboring federal court. And in fact, in the filings, there is what appears to be an official certificate of good standing of Tony Busby from the Eastern District. There is also apparently a statement of his good standing and license to practice law in Texas. However, as explained in Tony Busby's affidavit in support of his motion to appear pro hoc vice and his actual motion, he does acknowledge that a grievance or a complaint of misconduct was filed against him in the Southern District of New York, that he didn't realize that he had this grievance filed against him until he tried to apply for admission. And he also says that the Committee on Grievances in the Southern District had previously denied his petition for pro hoc vice on February 13th.
So he basically saying they denied it before. That's why they was thinking that he had to throw all them cases, all the New York cases out, because they denied him basically practicing law in New York, or maybe even the Southern District. Yeah. Another thing too, Tony Busby sued Jay-Z also, so we gotta think about that also. So I don't know, like, the ins and outs, but he did sue Jay-Z. Jay-Z sued him and he sued Jay-Z. So.
But Tony Busby explains, despite this, He says he's never been censured, he's never been suspended, he's never been disbarred, he's never been denied admission to court,
Dude
and
say
he
he's 24.
intends
That's cool.
to fight this
We
grievance.
don't want no kids in here.
However, he explains in his affidavit, quote, "The primary factor underlying both the grievance and the Southern District admissions decision is that I electronically signed numerous pleadings alongside my firm's local counsel, who is admitted to the Southern District of New York, who actually filed all pleadings and other papers. To the extent I violated the Southern District's rules in so doing, those violations were inadvertent, and I sincerely apologize."
So he's saying what happened was he didn't mean to do it. That's like in law terms, inadvertently, he didn't mean to do it because he basically didn't know. I guess he didn't know all the laws in New York as a practicing lawyer. So he did some things that maybe he probably didn't know all the laws in New York. So that's basically all they're saying. Inadvertently, he did it.
Intend to explain as much to the Southern District's admissions committee and will make certain such never occurs again. As an aside, included in the grievance, although I'm unclear whether it is a basis for such, was information regarding the filing of a lawsuit against me by a former client. That case, once it achieved a headline, was immediately dismissed, and the basis for that filing were completely fictional, all of which will be demonstrated by evidence to be presented to the grievance and admissions committees. And let's not forget something. During Tony Busby's fight with Jay-Z and Jay-Z's lawyers during that litigation, with, again, the woman who claims that she was raped by Jay-Z when she was 13 years old, the rapper's lawyers raised an argument. They raised the argument that Tony Busby was violating ethical rules and didn't even seek to be admitted pro hoc vice on an interim basis before signing his name to pleadings. It's going to come up.
So they're saying that Jay-Z, them lawyers basically called out what Tony Busby did anyway to push it forward. They're saying that, basically Jay-Z lawyers had called it out way before everything happened, that he was supposed to go through these proceedings to be able to practice law in the Southern District or in New York.
But again, in a second. So I say all of that to talk about what's happening now, because Sean Combs' counsel has made a new filing. It is in opposition to Tony Busby trying to get admitted pro hoc vice in the McCrary case. They have now gone on the offensive against him, and that is what we're going to get into right now. Here is the opening paragraph in this opposition paper. It reads, "In our collective decades of practice, undersigned counsel have never opposed a pro hoc vice application, and we do not do so lightly here. But Busby's egregious misconduct warrants denial of the privilege of appearing in this district. He has signed multiple filings across 22 cases without permission to practice in this court.
So they're basically calling out all the things that he actually did wrong.
Failed in each instance to disclose that he had filed without being admitted, and he violated New York's rules of professional conduct by, among other things, repeatedly insisting that Mr. Combs is guilty of the criminal charges pending against him in this district, even though Busby has no good faith basis to believe the government will call any of his clients as a witness in that case. For these reasons, discussed in detail below, this court should deny Busby's pro hoc vice application." Now, for the record,
It's called pro hoc vice. That's wild. That's a wild name, pro hoc vice.
you don't usually see this a lot. Opposing counsel, they don't really object to who the other side wants to represent them. So this is a unique situation. It goes on. As plaintiff's lead counsel in this case, Busby has for months been signing and, upon information and belief, drafting, directing, and advising on pleadings and other filings in this action and others without obtaining permission to practice in the Southern District of New York and without disclosing that he lacked such permission. And then they cite a number of filings that were allegedly signed seemingly improperly by Tony Busby, like the complaint, like a motion for reconsideration, and so forth.
So basically they're saying Tony Busby done dropped the ball a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they calling him out on a lot of his actions. So that's what it's seeming like right now. Like, Tony Busby he gonna have to pick up the pace, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I honestly think that this is my honest opinion. I think that Tony Busby, he got something on both of them. I really do, because I don't feel like a lawyer will come out here and just basically commit career suicide. Like basically that's career suicide, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna go after Jay-Z, which is a billionaire, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm gonna lose in court. Like, ain't nobody going up against nobody like Jay-Z to lose. They going up against Jay-Z to win, bro. So like that's why they, you know what I'm saying? Like they already got Diddy in the bag. Diddy is already in the bag. Just throw it in the bag. He's in the bag. Um, but they trying to get Jay-Z. You did. They trying to get your boy Jigga Man out here, but
And they argue that he did the same thing in 21 other cases. That over the course of 3 months, he, quote, directed the filing of and litigated cases in the Southern District without having applied for regular or pro hoc vice admission. Quote, Busby never indicated in a single action in this district that he was not admitted here, that he had no application pending here, and that he had not sought admission pro hoc vice. And they argue that it wasn't just he was filing these papers without the proper authorization, but they also took issues with public statements he was seemingly making at press conferences, on social media, and in interviews. And really...
So they saying Tony Busby basically was talking a little too much. You know what I'm saying? And different platforms. You know what I'm saying? Press conference, social media. He might have got a little too, you know what I'm saying, frisky or froggy. He wanted to jump up a little bit too much, but he should have fall back like a small bag for real.
They claim, they argue that he violated the rules of professional conduct by opining on Sean Combs' guilt in the criminal case. More specifically, they write, worse, he has falsely accused Mr. Combs of sexually abusing dozens of children when Mr. Combs has never been charged with such crimes. That's right, he's never been criminally charged with respect.
So it's saying that, you know, basically so everything right now is going crazy because it's on Tony Busby head. So Tony Busby got to dig himself up out of this to make this shit work, because basically they saying now that, you know, the evidence is looking kind of flimsy. So I don't know.
Back to minors, although Combs has been accused of that in numerous lawsuits. And by the way, to make this very clear, Combs denies not only that, but he denies all accusations of sexual misconduct. Women, men, children alike, has been denied all the allegations in every lawsuit he's faced. He has denied the allegations in the criminal case, and apparently he...
Ever been going somewhere and suddenly needed Wi-Fi but couldn't find a connection? Meet Instabridge.
He's looking forward to his day in court. Okay, putting that to the side.
So yeah, he putting his day in court. Got to get that thing going. I think it's in March, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's in March. No, it might be May. I think it's May. This shit about to get ugly this year, y'all. This shit about to get real ugly, bro. They about to pull the sheet off the wolves' clothing. They about to pull the sheet off, bro. I ain't lying. Cause the feds know everything. They know everything. Alphabet boys, they gonna get in there. They gonna find something. They ain't hit your house up for nothing. They hit your house up because they know something.
From there, Sean Combs' counsel explains what happened with Jay-Z. Namely, that Jay-Z's counsel had filed a letter with the court in that case, the one about the Jane Doe, the 13-year-old, disclosing that Busby hadn't been admitted to practice in the Southern District, even though he apparently signed a number of pleadings and other filings. And they also claim that Tony Busby wasn't honest with the court in that case when he said that he was admitted to practice in the Eastern District and his reciprocal admission in the Southern District was forthcoming. They said he was...
So now they're trying to say Tony Busby lying.
Is kind of misrepresenting what was going on there. And according to Combs, Jay-Z's counsel, they made the claim that 6 days after making this alleged misrepresentation, only after the judge ordered Tony Busby to file proof of admission, that is when he applied the following day. Now here's the thing. They then explain how on February 13th, as I mentioned, the grievance committee in the Southern District of New York denied Tony Busby's admission. The filing goes on to state, quote, Busby was denied admission because per the committee's review of the dockets, Busby has appeared in cases in this court without seeking admission. The final
So that's what the court's saying. Ooh.
sentence of the order denying admission states, in the event Busby moves for pro hoc vice or regular admission in this court in the future, he must attach a copy of this order denying admission to his motion or petition. Meaning, if he ever tries to be admitted, whoever's going to be doing that admission process, they got to know that he's had this issue in the past. Goes on.
It might be looking bad for Tony. I hope Tony got something up his sleeve, cause boy, this right here ain't looking good for Tony Busby.
Say Busby took no steps to notify this court or any other court in this district where his actions were pending that he had been denied admission to practice here. Instead, in this action and others, Busby continued to appear on court filings without disclosing the adverse action the district's grievance committee had taken against him and without seeking admission pro hoc vice. And here is where things get even more dicey for Tony Busby, according to Sean Combs' counsel. The court apparently issued Busby a warning. Quote, the court notes that plaintiff's letter is signed by Anthony Busby. The court has been informed that Busby is not admitted to practice in the Southern District. He's not filed a motion to appear pro hoc vice in this case. As such, Busby is in violation of Local Civil Rule 1.3. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered that Busby must file a motion to appear pro hoc vice no later than February 21st, 2025. And that if he doesn't do that, he could be sanctioned. So, Sean Combs' lawyers claim that Tony Busby files a motion to be admitted pro hoc vice.
Damn, they might have a loophole for this shit. Boy. Damn. They might have a loophole. Damn. This crazy. This wild work right here, bro. Like Tony Busby look like he jumped the gun. Like in the NFL game, like you offside, bro. Like, damn. That's crazy.
Only after the court required it, and that this was the first time he ever did that since he started filing cases in October. And then they mentioned that affidavit that Tony Busby filed, which I mentioned before. Okay, so from there, in Sean Combs' filing, we get into the law. The law in support of why they argue Tony Busby's motion to be admitted to this court, in this case, pro hoc vice, should be denied. First up, they explain how when a lawyer is admitted and in good standing in another state or in a district court, they may be allowed to argue or try a case on a pro hoc vice basis. That's the standard. And there are certain things a lawyer has to do, including electronic filings, paying fees, things like that. But they also emphasize that based on case law, quote, a lawyer's pro hoc vice admission is a privilege, not a right. That it's up to the discretion.
It's a privilege, not a right. Y'all get the lights up. It's a privilege, not a right.
Of the court to grant it. And one of the things that courts will look to is to make sure an attorney can be relied upon to be truthful with the court. And they decided a case.
Yeah, they probably, hey, ooh, damn, boy. Diddy might get off. Boy, this shit, I don't know how old this is. Let's see how old this is right now. Well, this shit 4 hours. This 4 hours ago.
Where an admission was denied when an applicant didn't tell the court about an administrative suspension in another court. So you can see how they're setting the ground for Busby that he wasn't forthcoming, he should be denied admission. And they continue, quote, although pro hoc vice admissions are routinely granted, the court's decision to do so is not simply a pro forma exercise. And there are occasions where such applications have been denied. And they get into that argument a little bit more. Quote, Busby's motion for admission pro hoc vice should be denied because he has repeatedly shown that he is unwilling or unable to follow this district's local rules, and because his application is deficient. For nearly 5 months,
So they saying because Busby done did this. Wow. Damn. It's amazing, y'all. Puffy got a chance of getting off. Depending on what the feds got.
he has filed case after case in this district against defendants in the name of anonymous plaintiffs without seeking admission of any kind and without disclosing his lack of admission until raised by a court or adversary. He did not apply for admission to practice in this district until January 29th, 2025, more than 6 weeks after his failure to do so was publicized in a letter filed by opposing counsel 5 weeks after he represented to another judge in this district that he intended to apply for admission, which he only did after opposing counsel disclosed Busby's lack of admission, and 2 weeks after he represented to another judge in this district that his application was forthcoming. Even after Busby was expressly put on notice by the Committee on Grievances that making repeated submissions to courts in a district where he's not authorized to practice violates the local rules, a concept so fundamental to the practice of law that...
So they're saying he in violation, bro. He a violator. Tony Busby, you violated. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Requires no forewarning, Busby took no corrective action. Instead, he continued making filings in this district without noting his lack of admission until this court required him to seek pro hoc vice admission. If this court had not noticed that Busby was practicing without being admitted, there is every reason to believe that he would have continued to do so, because that is precisely...
So they're saying if they wouldn't have had caught that he would have kept doing it. Basically, he ain't asking for, what do you call it? He ain't asking for permission, he asking for forgiveness. That's what he been asking. That's what Tony Busby asking for. He asking for forgiveness, not permission.
What Busby is doing in more than 20 other cases pending in this district. Even after declaring in a February 20th, 2025 affidavit submitted to this court that his errors were inadvertent and he will make such certain conduct never occurs again, he has failed to seek admission pro hoc vice in any of the other pending cases.
So the pro hoc vice thing is the main thing we got to focus on with Tony Busby. Basically, pro hoc vice is, you got to, as a lawyer from another district, you have to go into another district. You got to basically let them know and I guess alert them and notify them and let them know that you're going to be practicing in their district. And he didn't do that. They saying he went ahead with the cases first, then he tried to get the application to do it. But yeah, that's wild work.
But now I want to highlight something else, and this is interesting. So Sean Combs' counsel argued that either Tony Busby's repeated violations show he's not familiar with how to properly practice in this district, seemingly meaning he shouldn't be admitted, or they argue this shows he can't be trusted and to conduct himself following the professional and ethical rules, and again, he shouldn't be admitted. And they argue that courts have denied pro hoc vice admission even when the other side is not opposing them if a lawyer's repeated violation of the rules shows they aren't competent to practice here. And talking competence, here they argue Tony Busby doesn't understand the local rules of local practice. They also say he violated federal rules of civil procedure and local Southern District rules when he filed a lawsuit under a pseudonym, meaning Jane Doe, without first getting permission from the court. And they claim he did that in other cases too. They also argue that his actual application for pro hoc vice was deficient. That it was deficient because he was supposed to...
So look here, y'all. It look like they got your boy Tony Busby on some funny business. I you know what I'm saying? I hope he ain't commit career suicide, but I mean, like I said, if he was willing to go after these people, he got something. He ain't just going out there bare buck naked. I don't think somebody that done won that many cases and done been doing this long would risk his career on something he couldn't prove. So that's what I'm thinking.
Explain the facts and circumstances of a disciplinary proceeding, and simply stating in his affidavit that the reason he had a grievance filed against him is because he, quote, electronically signed numerous pleadings alongside my firm's local counsel, and further noting that the grievance included information regarding the filing of a lawsuit against me by a former client. They argue that's not enough. That's too bare bones a description. That is not properly describing the nature of these circumstances as is required. So they argue he doesn't know how to follow local rules, he doesn't know how to follow federal rules, and his application is deficient. But they also argue that he violated the New York rules of professional conduct. Those are our ethical rules as lawyers. But more specifically, they claim that he violated the rule that prohibits attorneys in a case from making out-of-court statements that the lawyer knows or should know.
Damn, Tony Buzz might have messed up on that. For real. If y'all can understand the etymology of the words that he's speaking right now, like, this is...
will spread and have a substantial likelihood of prejudicing the case in a material and relevant way, such as about the character or credibility or even the criminal record of a defendant or a plaintiff or a witness or even the guilt or innocence of a defendant. And they argue that his press conference, the one I mentioned before, the one back on October 1st, 2024, it did just that. Because you remember, Busby announced that he was going to be filing lawsuits on behalf of 120 different people, and that there would be a 1-800 number for people to call if they had claims against Sean Combs.
Hey, I called that shit just to see if it was real, my nigga. I called that motherfucker. I was like, what? I was like, this shit for real, my nigga? They had later on there talking about, hey, if P. Diddy did this or did that. I was like, Lord have mercy, Jesus. They got a hotline for the nigga. Lord.
The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us, with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. We now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases.
And Sean Combs' counsel claims here in this filing that Tony Busby claimed that one victim was 9 years old, that he claimed to represent 25 people who were abused by Combs when they were children, that he described his client's potential testimony, including where the alleged assaults took place, the circumstances surrounding them, and that this is all inappropriate. Quote, Busby did not just preview his client's expected testimony in general terms, he relayed anticipated accounts of the as of then unfiled allegations from specific unnamed clients. In describing his client's expected narratives, he claimed that he had corroborated, vetted, and collected evidence for each of the accounts he presented, vouching for the truthfulness of his client's allegations and implicitly of Mr. Combs' guilt. After the press conference, Busby went on to participate in a media blitz campaign to promote his lawsuits, and in doing so, he routinely implied that Mr. Combs has a, quote, predilection for predatory sexual assaults, commenting on and denigrating his character. There can be no...
So yeah, that's they're basically saying, like, after he did the lawsuit, he came out after the lawsuit and basically boosted it up on TV, like you seen, like what I said. I actually called the hotline. I heard what they were saying, like, my nigga, talking about, bro, they put a hotline up there, bro. Come on, man. They'll come to find out you ain't even supposed to be doing this because you don't have the qualification. What that boy told Charlemagne? You're not qualified You're not qualified, sir. In the state of New York or the Southern District, you're not qualified. So you done brought all this shit up, and they about to get with your ass. I hope he ain't that stupid just to think he was gonna just, boss up and just do that. Like, I hope he didn't think he was gonna do that, but hey, that's wild. But you fucked the man.
No serious dispute that such statements had a, quote, substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing this and other adjudicative proceedings in flagrant violation of Rule 3.6. That's the rule I was talking about before. And they go on to write, indeed, even though none of Busby's clients is expected to testify in Mr. Combs' criminal trial, Busby's extrajudicial statements, out-of-court statements, are likely to prejudice Mr. Combs' criminal case as they unambiguously express opinion as to the guilt or innocence of a defendant and relate to the character, credibility, reputation of a party suspect in a criminal investigation. So in other words, they argue he violated the rules of professional conduct and the local rules. He failed to seek admission when he was supposed to. He provided a deficient application, and therefore he shouldn't be allowed to practice pro hoc vice, and the court can't be confident that it can rely on what he says or promises. And then Combs' counsel adds this. Moreover, his public statements reflect that he does not appreciate the gravity of his violations. Indeed, rather than acknowledge the limitations of his practice authority in the face of public inquiries about the denial of his admission application to the Southern District of New York or remain silent, Busby instead chose to make a public statement that deflected, claiming that reports of him being barred from practicing law in New York State were trash and pure bunk, and boasting, although I prefer Texas, I'm proud of the legal work we're doing in New York. So that is actually from an accompanying exhibit in an affidavit from one of Sean Combs' lawyers, and it features a screenshot of what appears to be an Instagram post.
What that boy be doing? What that boy be doing? Hey. Yeah.
By Tony Busby, and it reads in full, I receive many press inquiries and make no effort to respond to most. I prefer rather to make a one-time general statement and let the various entities use that statement as they see fit. Over the past week, I've gotten multiple inquiries from friends and colleagues expressing concern and asking why I've been barred from practicing law in New York State and offering their assistance. I myself have seen several press agencies, some borderline legitimate, reporting that same trash. Let me be clear. I'm licensed to practice law in New York. I'm in good standing with the state bar and have always been. Although I prefer Texas, I'm proud of the legal work we're doing in New York. Don't believe the clickbait or dramatic headlines. Most of what's reported nowadays is pure bunk by those with an agenda. So, in response to that, Combs' lawyers write, while it is apparently true that Busby is admitted to practice law in the state courts of New York, his public statements in response to the order denying his admission to the Southern District of New York are deliberately misleading. Against this backdrop, the court cannot credit his promise that he will never repeat his misconduct.
So basically, they're saying Tony Busby. Okay, so Tony Busby might have had the right to practice law in New York, but he might have not had the right to practice law in the Southern District of New York. That's probably what happened. That might have been what happened. Now that could have happened. It could have been an honest mistake, or it could have just been some shit he was just riding with, like, nigga, shit, we finna just goddamn just, you know what I'm saying? But the nigga had a whole goddamn hotline out the mud behind fucking, like, shit. Shit, that nigga had a whole hotline.
There are at least 19 other judges in this district to whom he has not yet disclosed the order denying admission and from whom he has not yet sought permission to appear pro hoc vice. So in conclusion, Sean Combs' lawyers write, for the foregoing reasons, defendants respectfully request that the court deny Busby's application to appear pro hoc vice. We will see how this shakes out.
Hey, we're gonna see how this shake out, y'all. Check it out, though. It looked like Tony Busby got an uphill battle to fight right about now. It looked like he got an uphill battle to fight. It looked like it's gonna be some things that he's gonna have to hurdle in order to continue through with this lawsuit. If not, it looked like a lot of the things are gonna be dropped. It looked like his credibility might be shot. And as a lawyer, that's career suicide. I kept saying that earlier in the video, career suicide. So, hey, it might be what it be. And, you know, we'll never know, but we might know a little bit more when the case come out, but we'll never know everything because Diddy'll never tell us what really happened. So, but hey, y'all kicking me in the Karma Cafe, man. I want y'all to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Y'all go check our Law and Crime channel. That's what we was listening to. Peace and one.